Welcome to this video about the Habsburgs, one of the most powerful dynasties in Europe. Until the end of the Holy Roman Empire, they represented 21 kings and emperors, and from 1804 to 1918, the emperors of Austria. But the empire did not just include Austria, but also Hungary, Bohemia, Croatia, Slovenia, Slovakia, Spain, parts of Italy, parts of the Netherlands, and even overseas colonies. But how did it come about? And how is the last Emperor Charles I related to the early Habsburgs? Today we'll check on the family tree, from the rise in the Middle Ages to the end of the monarchy in 1918. And I hope to give you an overview of the complex family relationships of the Habsburgs. The beginnings of the Habsburgs. The Habsburgs are an European princely family named after their ancestral castle in what is now in the Swiss canton Aargau. The family can be traced back to the Middle Ages to Guntram the Rich, who lived around the middle of the 10th century. In the family trees of the Acte Murensia dating to 1160, he appears as the progenitor of the family of the Habsburgs. His son was Lanzelin, Count of Klettgau and in Thurgau, and his son was Radbot, Count of Klettgau, who was the presumed founder of this Habichtsburg in the Swiss Aargau. Since the 11th century, the Habsburgs' legacy is visible in Switzerland and Alsace. In 1108, Otto II, grandson of Radbot, is recorded under the family name Comes de Hauichtsburg for the first time. The line can now be continued as follows: Otto's son Werner III, his son Albert III, his son Rudolf II, his son Albert IV, and now we have finally the first king of the Holy Roman Empire coming from the Habsburg dynasty. Rudolf I of Habsburg was elected king of the Holy Roman Empire in 1273. It was he who won Austria and Styria for the Habsburg family and thus actually begins the Austrian line of the Habsburgs, the House of Austria. Following Rudolf's reign, several heirs solidified the Habsburgs' power in Austria. His son, Albert I, rose as king of the Holy Roman Empire in 1298. But it will be another 200 years before the Habsburgs permanently seize the throne. Albert's son, King Frederick, ruled as the only king of the Holy Roman Empire together as a double king for 2 years from 1325 to 27 with his Wittelsbach cousin Louis the Bavarian. After his death, his brother was named Duke Albert II the Wise or the Lame, the head of the family. His son Rudolf IV is referred to as a benefactor because he has founded St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna and the University of Vienna. Rudolf IV also bore the unflattering nickname the Forger, as he falsified the Privilegium Maius to claim the title of an archduke for the Habsburgs. His brothers, Albert III and Leopold III, split the family into an Albertine and a Leopoldine line. But the Albertine line dies already in the year 1457 with Ladislaus Postumus. That is why the Habsburg dynasty continues with the Leopoldine line. Leopold III was the only Habsburg who ever died directly on the battlefield, namely in the Battle of Sempach against the Swiss, because the Swiss had already turned away from the Habsburgs for a long time, after this family had focused on Austria instead. His son was Ernest the Iron, and whose son was Frederick III, the first member of the Habsburg family who was crowned by the Pope to become Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, instead of being just a voted king. And from now on, the rise of the power of the Habsburg begins, because they stick to the throne. He will be the one who recognizes the privilege Maius of Rudolf IV, and from now on, all Habsburgs are named archdukes. His son, Emperor Maximilian III married Mary of Burgundy, a brilliant move because with it he acquired the rich Netherlands and brought the Order of the Golden Fleece to the House of Habsburgs. The dynasty will now rely a lot also on marriage policy instead of just wars. If you want to know more about how the Habsburgs expanded their empire through weddings, watch this video on the 5 most important Habsburg weddings. World power through marriage. Maximilian's son, Philip the Fair, married Joan of Castile, later known as Joan the Mad. Her son was Emperor Charles V. He ruled an empire where the sun never sets. Spain, Austria, the Netherlands, parts of Italy, and colonies in Central America. But he shared power with his brother, his younger brother Ferdinand, taking over the Austrian territories, while Charles himself ruled in Spain. Here the family now split into a Spanish and an Austrian line. The Austrian line. Since the Spanish line died out in 1700 with the last Spanish Habsburg, Charles II, the Austrian line continued the empire and dynasty. And now it gets a bit complicated. After the death of Emperor Charles V, his brother Ferdinand became the first elected emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, and from now on there were no more imperial coronizations by the Pope. During his time, Vienna was besieged by the Ottoman army for the first time, and through his marriage to Anna Jagiello, Bohemia and Hungary came into the Habsburg sphere of power. He divided the Austrian lands among his 3 sons. Maximilian II received Lower and Upper Austria, Bohemia and Hungary. Ferdinand of Tyrol, as the name suggests, founded the new Tyrolean line, and Charles of Inner Austria ruled in Styria, Carinthia and Carniola. The eldest of the brothers, Maximilian II, became emperor, as did his eldest son Rudolf II, who made Prague his residence and a center of arts. However, he was deposed by his younger brother Matthias, which went down in history as a fraternal dispute in the House of Habsburg. Matthias became emperor, but he had no surviving children. And because the younger Tyrolean line also died out after a short time, the line continued with the Inner Austrian family branch, and Matthias' nephew Ferdinand II received the imperial crown. We are now in the 30 Years' War. Have you been able to keep track so far? You can always watch my videos about the individual rulers and their wars in my playlist on the Habsburg Dynasty. Subscribe now to never miss a video again. His son was now Emperor Ferdinand III, and whose son Emperor Leopold I, a Baroque emperor, had built Schönbrunn Palace. During his time, Vienna was besieged a second time by the Ottoman army. His son, Emperor Joseph I, died prematurely, which is why the imperial crown went to his younger brother Charles VI. He had no surviving sons, and no other male member of the dynasty was yet alive. This is why, now, for the first and only time in Habsburg history, a woman will acclaim the throne of the Habsburg lands, Charles's eldest daughter, Maria Theresa. She was ruling for 40 years, from 1740 to 1780. But as with her father, the last male member of the Habsburg dynasty had died out, her marriage to Francis Stephen of Lorraine led to the founding of a new dynasty, Habsburg-Lorraine, henceforth called. Their eldest son, Joseph II, a true reform emperor of the Enlightenment, died without leaving any sons, which is why his younger brother, until now Grand Duke of Tuscany, succeeded him as Leopold II on the imperial throne for only 2 years. The end of the Holy Roman Empire. In the 19th century, Leopold's son, Franz II, was the last emperor to the Holy Roman Empire. Since Napoleon had conquered many areas of the Holy Roman Empire, or moved them to his side, Emperor Francis lost his power base and decided to dissolve this empire. Instead, he elevated the Archduchy of Austria to an empire, and from now on he called himself Francis I, the first emperor of Austria. This happened in 1804, which is why he remained until the dissolution of the Holy Roman Empire in 1806, the only double emperor that had ever existed in Europe. Franz Joseph and the upheavals of the 19th century. The eldest son of Emperor Franz was Emperor Ferdinand I. He ruled until the Revolution of 1848. In this turbulent time, there was a change of the throne. He handed over the regency to the son of his brother Franz Karl, the 18-year-old Franz Joseph. He was the longest ruling Austrian emperor. He ruled for 68 years. He was married to the famous Empress Elisabeth, nicknamed Sisi, and during his reign, the monarchy became a dual monarchy called Austria-Hungary, after the Hungarian equalization in 1867. However, his only son, Crown Prince Rudolf, took his own life, and so the succession to the throne passed to Franz Joseph's nephew, Franz Ferdinand. He was the son of Franz Joseph's younger brother, Karl Ludwig, but Franz Ferdinand was shot dead in Sarajevo in 1914, which is why World War I started. But Franz Joseph died in 1916 and the throne passed to his great-nephew Charles I. Franz Ferdinand's children were excluded from the succession to the throne, which is why the line continued with Franz Ferdinand's younger brother Otto. But since he had already died, his eldest son Charles became the new head of the family and the last emperor of Austria. The downfall. Charles ruled only 2 years, from 1916 to 1918, because in this year the Austrian monarchy collapsed. Charles went into exile, the House of Habsburg lost the throne, but to this day many members of the House of Habsburg still live scattered over the whole world. And thus ended the 1,000-year reign of the Habsburgs in Europe, from small areas in Switzerland to the world empire under Charles V, and to Franz Joseph's dual monarchy of Austria-Hungary, and finally to the end after World War I. If you liked this video, leave a like and subscribe for more exciting history topics, and if you want to continue watching, you will find the complete playlist of the individual Habsburgs and even more exciting videos on my German YouTube channel. But I'll try to get all my videos now to the English channel as well.